California has more than 1.2 million homes that are at moderate to high risk of being impacted by a wildfire.
That's scary. That's according to a new report by the data company Cotality. It released its 2025 Wildfire Risk Report this morning. And on your side's Kristine Lazar is joining us with what this means for homeowners. Kristine.
Well, it's not good news, but it's news that we're kind of expecting, right? We know that more and more homes are now being classified as in wildfire risk areas. And we saw that with both the Palisades and Eaton fire, where a lot of people said, I never thought it could happen to me. So Los Angeles has the highest amount of homes in moderate to high risk fire areas, more than 240,000, with a reconstruction cost value of over $191 billion. Riverside and San Diego take the number 2 and number 3 spots. I'm joined now by one of Cotality's researchers, Senior Product Manager Jamie Knippen. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So to begin with, can you summarize what this report found in terms of the impact of this significant and widespread wildfire risk here in Southern California specifically?
Completely. So what we saw, and you captured it correctly, is Los Angeles, Riverside, as well as San Diego have the most homes that are at moderate to very high risk. But when we look at the top 15 metro areas in western states, California holds 8 of those. So a lot of California is at risk, and homeowners as well as business owners need to be aware of what they can do at their property to potentially mitigate it and make it more resilient to wildfires.
Now, the report also talks about shrinking insurance availability and also affordability and also an underinsurance crisis, right, where people don't have enough coverage. So how is that impacting Californians as we see our wildfire risk increase?
So as we've seen a lot of policyholders move to the FAIR plan. But in addition, it's important to note that when a carrier provides insurance, they need to be able to provide coverage and price adequate to the risk that is available at that property level. What policyholders should know is that the California Department of Insurance has enacted the Sustainable Insurance Strategy, which requires for carriers to account for 12 different mandatory mitigation factors at the property, community, and structure level in their rate plans. So these factors are things that homeowners can do to help ultimately inform their insurer and potentially gain coverage that is more accountable to that risk.
Okay, so since you mentioned those mitigating factors, talk about what we Southern Californians can do to lessen our wildfire risk.
Completely. So the top mitigation effort that a policyholder can do is completely get rid of vegetation, living or dead, so things like firewood, in the zone that is 0 to 5 feet directly around your structure. This is called Defensible Space Zone 0. It is been studied by institutes like the Institute for Home and Business Safety as being the top contender for reducing risk at the property level. So unfortunately, it does require for you to get rid of some of the plants or vegetation directly around your property, but it does make your home more resilient to potential if a wildfire came.
Now, this report also talks about how wildfire risk isn't just a California problem. Can you expand on that?
Completely. We see wildfire risk in all of the different western states. I live in Denver, Colorado, and we actually were one of the top 15 metro areas for wildfire risk. So it's not just a California problem. We're seeing this all throughout the West Coast, especially as we see increases in drought as well as changes in climate. We continuously see that wildfire risk is evolving, and areas that we see that the most is places like the wildland-urban interface, which a lot of development is occurring, and homes are being put up in areas where there is higher wildfire risk.
Well, we appreciate you being on, and knowledge is power, but of course we have to do something with it. So really good tips on mitigating that risk. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us.